a former WWE star sued for wrongful death, and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for April 19th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial, and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Signing with WWE for the first time in 1996, Hall of Famer Mick Foley revealed on Dr. Bo Hightower's YouTube channel what he used to get paid by the company. "I was guaranteed $25 a night, the contract that I signed for WWE. I was guaranteed 5 matches a year at $150 for 5 years. So if they had chosen not to push me, then I could have been in a position where I can't go anywhere else. I'm locked in for 5 years, but this is the place to go, WWE." With Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania to become the unified world champion, many are wondering what this will mean for the brand split. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer discussed the possibility of the Raw and SmackDown rosters continuing to be separate. Roman Reigns is scheduled to headline WrestleMania Backlash, even though they don't seem to have started a program for him. Also, regarding rumors of brand mergers, because of the singles title merger and the tag title merger, right now they are not merging rosters. Of course, Vince could decide something different 5 minutes from now, but as of right now, nobody has heard anything discussed in that direction. WWE legend Gangrel is working hard at preparing former UFC fighter Paige VanZant for her journey in pro wrestling. Speaking of Wrestling Inc., Gangrel revealed how that training has been going. Yes, one of them is Paige VanZant, although she's ghosted on me for a few days, but she'll be back in the mix. She's definitely one of them. Then there's another lady, I don't think I can mention her name yet, until she gets out of the contract she's in right now, but she definitely looks like she'll be popping up somewhere, one of the big companies soon. After defeating Becky Lynch at WrestleMania to become the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair is now set to face Sonya Deville. On Raw last night, Deville informed Belair that she would face consequences for attacking her, as Belair had to let Sonya down from a KOD attempt. On Legion of Raw, Vince Russo would criticize the company for making Belair look weak. She was attacked from behind last week. What this should have been was Sonya Deville's music and entrance, literally 3 steps down the ramp, Bianca from behind, boom, attacks from behind, you go to commercial break hot. If somebody attacks you from behind, you seriously will not wait in the back in the gorilla position for her to call you out. Then I'm going to take my sweet time to the ring, then I'm going to stand there and listen what you have to say to me after you jumped me from behind last week. This is where Bianca Belair has to say, yeah, she attacked me from behind last week. You can't go along with the game plan if it's going to make you look weak, and that makes her look weak. Russo would also take to Twitter to give his thoughts on WWE's Monday Night program. Raw is just a terrible, terrible show. It is far and away the absolute worst thing on prime time. The entire world has passed this company by. There is nothing that anybody can relate to. Vince McMahon, time to look yourself in the mirror. Are you better than this or not? Speaking of the Raw Women's title, last night Rhea Ripley turned on Liv Morgan after losing another chance to become Women's Tag Team Champions. According to the Wrestling Observer, this was done to prepare Ripley for a match against Belair. With Ripley, her being heel right now makes sense because Bianca Belair is a babyface. She's got one opponent, which is Becky Lynch. They don't want to go back to that right away. That's why they're doing Sonya Deville right now. If you notice, the Sonya Deville thing was supposed to be on the pay-per-view, and they moved it up a couple weeks to be on TV next week. So maybe that's to move Rhea Ripley into that spot sooner, but Ripley right now, because of Bianca Belair and everything like that, she should be a heel right now. After 3 years in WWE, Kushida's contract expired recently as he will be moving on from the company. With it reported yesterday that he would not re-sign with WWE, Dave Meltzer pointed out on Wrestling Observer Radio that he is done. His contract expired. It was not a secret that he wasn't going to stay. I know in WWE, the belief is that he starts with New Japan in June. That's what they believe, and it's probably the case. So yeah, he signed a 3-year deal. Kind of wasted 3 years of his career, I think. The deal was up this week. They advertised the match against Von Wagner and then decided that they would just beat him up instead and injure him, and that they would have Ike Majiro do the match instead. So yeah, the powerbomb over the suitcases, that was writing him off the show. On his Something to Wrestle With podcast, Bruce Pritchard recalled a time that Vince McMahon wanted The Rock to wrestle a bear, shut Wall Street down and put a ring there and have matches at noon. Huge spectacle. We're going to go live on WWF.com, so it's like, okay, cool. I thought he was just kind of like telling me this, so that I knew that, okay, we need to put together a show, we need to come up with something. But what he was telling me was, hey, I want to do this, get it done. As he's trailing off, he goes, and I want a bear. I want The Rock to wrestle a bear. The Brahma Bull versus the bear. The honest to God living wrestling bear, which used to be an attraction back in the day. After defeating Finn Balor for the US title last night on Raw, Theory spoke during an interview backstage and came up with a new name for himself. You know what? I feel a lot better than you. I mean, look at that stupid tie. And look at me. I'm the United States Champion. I can say it a million times. All Day Theory is the brand new United States Champion. But, you know, I'm not only proud of myself, I'm proud that Mr. McMahon is proud of me. I did everything that he told me to do. Every lesson, I studied, I worked hard, and look what happened. Look what happened. Do you know the legacy of this title? Do you know who's going to make the legacy of this even better? All Day Theory. With him returning to WWE at WrestleMania 38 to defeat Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes was asked during an interview with Ryan Satin if there were any other plans for his comeback besides Mania, to which Cody replied, I mean, as far as my understanding, the plan was always WrestleMania and nothing was ever considered. At one point, I saw people talking about Jacksonville, and that's a no. Again, it's not about leaving, it's about returning, and the place to do it was at the Showcase of Immortals. The biggest stage there is in what we do, undisputed, is WrestleMania. There was a lot of synergy and love over the fact that it was Dallas, Texas. That is where I had my last WrestleMania with the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. One of WWE's main producers, Pat Buck, who worked on several matches for the company, ended up leaving for AEW. On this podcast, Jim Cornette touched on Buck signing with AEW, saying, "This is the kind of people that Tony Khan should have been going after to set his promotion up before he went after anyone but the key talent. The key talent is Chris Jericho for the name, and you know, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega for the rabid following and whoever. He should have set up an infrastructure first. Veteran producers, trainers, people with many years of knowledge and proper experience in putting together a show of this magnitude on national cable television. In all honesty, that is who he should have really been going after first. At least Khan is finally getting them now." Known as Sunny during her time at WWE, Tammy Sytch was recently involved in a fatal 3-car accident, as the Observer reported that she is being sued for wrongful death by the family of the man that lost his life in the wreck. I guess $30K covers the funeral expenses, medical expenses, and pain suffering of the family. I mean, that number does sound very low. You know, forget about that, it's wrongful death. When Owen Hart died, they settled out of court for $18 million. The value of his contract was not $18 million, so Tammy and her boyfriend James were both sued. She's not been arrested. She's out because they are waiting for the toxicology report for her drug test and alcohol test to come back to see if she was DUI or whatever. She was still driving without a license. Even if she was sober, she was driving without a license. And somebody died. That's still a manslaughter charge. I don't know with her criminal record and everything, I don't know why she's not in. It's very confusing to me. While she came up short against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey will have another crack at the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania Backlash. On the Wild On podcast, Natalya spoke about Rousey's return to WWE, claiming her becoming a mother enhanced her pro wrestling abilities. I think in order for baby faces to be really good to get connected to the audience, they have to know how to sell. Ronda, I think because she's been through so much in her life, like her childhood was very hard. Losing her dad at a very young age, her mom raising her as a single mom. She had a speech impediment until she was like 8 or 9. I think she's been through some really traumatic things in her life, so she understands how to dig deep and make people feel something. I think now, even as a mom, you're seeing a different layer to her. You have a more of a maternal kind of softer side that you never really tapped into before. I think Ronda is kind of seeing that. Her focus is a little bit different now. She loves what she's doing in WWE, but she's like, I'm a mom. Things are a little different. Same with Becky. Becky doesn't have that. Neither Ronda nor Becky come off to me as being like ruthless killers. They come off to me as being a little bit more cerebral and strategic. Taking to his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T touched on how important it is for wrestlers not to focus on wins and losses. While he was pleased with being in many spots on a wrestling card, Booker never wanted to be on WWE shows like Velocity and Heat. If you're so focused on winning and losing, being in the main event, being the guy, you're going to miss out on a whole lot that's going on. I say for me, I loved being in different positions at different times. It gave you a different reason to work. So many different reasons to work in those positions. Mid-card guy, I'm cool. Opening the show, I'm cool. Main event, I'm cool. The only thing I wasn't cool with was working Velocity or Superstars, and I never had to work any of them shows. And that's when you should start getting worried. The syndicated shows, Heat, Velocity, Main Event, stuff like that, I never worked one of those shows. He went on to talk about AEW Dark, saying, hell yeah, it's a demotion. I know that's going to get picked up, but hell yeah, it's a demotion. Damn it, I'm not working on Dark. For me, working on Dark, which is a show that is only on the internet, should be for the young guys coming up. I didn't come from the big out, no pun intended, which I am talking about WWE. I didn't come from WWE to come to AEW to work Dark. I don't even know what Dark is. I don't know who's on it. I don't know when it's aired or anything like that. So for me to be on Dark, it would make me feel a certain way, me personally. Booker would add that Vince McMahon had enough respect to never put him on one of those shows. If Vince came to me and said, hey Book, I need you to work the Velocity show. We need to bump the ratings on that show. We need some star power on it. Do you think you can do it? What do you think I'm going to say? I'm going to say yeah. But my boss, he respected me enough not to put me on those shows. He respected me enough as far as to keep my star power at a certain position. He kept me working around the main event guys. If I wasn't with the main event guys, I was doing something. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.